Coach, thanks for joining us today.
How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Our first question for Coach will come from Dina King. So go ahead, Dina.
Hi, Dina.
You're on mute, ma'am.
Can't hear you. You're on mute.
Yeah.
Dina,
you're still on mute.
I'm sorry. Hey, I was asking about Ty Chandler, how he has adjusted being the guy in the room, in the running back room, and how he has become a leader in that room.
So Ty is obviously the veteran in the room, and he is he's kind of behaved that way throughout the spring and now in camp. And he's running with the first team right now. And I think he's done a phenomenal job getting to know a new system. One of the advantages the other guys had was that they've already been here and they knew the system. And so outside of the true freshman, I think he's done a good job of assimilating himself and learning it. And now you're just starting to see some of the veteran leadership in that room. You know, it's kind of hard to go be the leader and be the front runner and be that guy when you're learning. But I think he's probably beyond that now, and we're starting to feel his presence as a veteran with the running backs.
Okay, Greg Barnes, go ahead.
Hey, Phil, when the season is over, or maybe even when spring ball is over, what is the process that you go through to make tweaks to the offense in terms of taking some plays out, adding some plays, those types of things?
So in order for us to take a play out, we've got to have one that we think is better, or it's a play that maybe over the last 2 seasons really is just dropping in production. So you evaluate, we call it R&D, research and development, on every play. And if it's maintaining its efficiency and if it's been helpful for us, we'll keep it. And if it hasn't, the old 3x1 trips flood play was a staple in everybody's offense for a long time. And you don't see that play nearly as much anymore because it was really difficult to defend. It was very efficient. And as it became less efficient, it kind of faded away. And now I think you see it as kind of a wrinkle play. And that's really how we treat every play. Is if we're running it well and it's efficient, X's and O's wise, schematically, we're going to keep it. And then the fun part with a veteran group, and we don't have a veteran group at the skill positions, but we do everywhere else, is being able to work on some of the progressive things in our offense as opposed to, the day 101 stuff.
Do you have a standard efficiency benchmark, or does it change depending on the play?
We actually have one for every play, every route, every run scheme, every tag. And so it's a very thorough evaluation of what we're doing. And you know what you have to do, Greg, is you got to decide, you're asking talent to do it that's not capable. It's not good, from an efficiency standpoint, or are the defenses just catching up schematically where we have to tweak it or improve it somewhere. And then once we ID what the problem is, you know how to answer it.
Thank you.
Okay, CL Brown, go ahead, sir.
Hey, Phil, I was wondering what opportunities do you see this year for Garrett Walston and in general the tight end position to maybe get more targets and catches?
The tight end role this year has to improve. I wouldn't even really say improve. They've kind of done what we've asked them to do the last 2 years, but it will definitely expand. When you lose 2 weapons in the backfield like Javonte and Michael, we would hope, obviously, as anybody would, that we replace those 2 with 2 more really prolific running backs. We don't know who those 2 are yet. I think we feel like we've got one right now that we're really comfortable with. The others are really, really talented, and they're all competing for that second and third spot. But I think early on, we're going to expect more production out of the tight end position because, 1, we need it. And 2, I think Garrett Walston and Kamari Morales, particularly those 2, have put themselves in a position where they have established themselves as bigger weapons athletically, and systematically than than they have been in the past. And so we're excited about the season that the two of them will have.
Was there anything, just a quick follow, was there anything in particular that you saw in Garrett's game that has improved, especially given the fact that, you know, he made the choice to come back for this season as opposed to just graduating?
So Garrett has been a really, really good athletic tight end in space. He's got the best hands on the team. He's super reliable. He runs great routes. So that has always been the strongest point of his game. And he's been, and the word I would use is competent in the box, run blocking and doing some of those things. And I think now he's done such a tremendous job, CL, of developing his body physically. You know, Hess and those guys have a plan for him. He's attacked the plan. He's much more of a physical specimen than he was before. And so I think he's a lot more than competent in the box now, and that makes him the true dual threat tight end that we all would hope to recruit every year. And so I think having him out there in our 11 personnel gives us the opportunity to do really anything that we want to do in the offense on both sides, the run and the pass games.
Thank you.
Okay, Hunter Nelson, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're doing well. So on Thursday, Sam actually told us that compared to his first season, last year he had a little bit more say with you as far as the team game planning each week. What has that process been like, and do you anticipate him having a bigger role with that this year?
Yeah, I mean, he has some things that he and I would both like him to work on, and he's done a great job at those three things. But I don't know if he could be more involved with me right now in the game planning. We are, you know, as I've said before, we're more into a meeting where we collaborate. You know, there's many different ways to attack different areas of the field in our offense. And we've got, you know, multiple ways to attack those regions or those areas. And really, I'll lean on Sam more if we're going to try to attack the middle of the field with 4 or 5 plays. Which 2 or 3 does he like the most? And then we scale it down. The ones your quarterback is really confident in and throws or runs with a really good rhythm, can run in his sleep. Those are the ones we want to lean towards, because those are the ones that he's going to have the most confidence in when we're running them in the game. And so his feedback and the feedback of all of our quarterbacks when they're out there is very important to me. I just have to make sure that I get him in a place mentally where their feedback is legitimate feedback. You know, I don't want to throw 4 verticals because they love to play. I want to throw it because they're really efficient at it. It's something that looks good against the defense this week, and they have a high confidence with regards to how they execute.
Andrew Jones, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. Late in spring practice, Mac told us that it was kind of late during, I guess, in early mid-April, that Drake started catching on, that he was starting to find a little bit of a groove. Did that carry over throughout the player-led practices in the offseason from what you've seen 3 days into fall camp? But is he about where you'd like him to be at this stage?
Yeah, he is. I mean, he's super intelligent. You know, and all of the, you know, the top 3 quarterbacks in our room right now are Sam is doing all of the progressive things you would expect the starter to do. Jacoby looks like a guy that's gone through a whole season. I mean, he can make any throw on the field, and mentally he's in a much better place now than he was a year ago. And Drake is kind of where Jacoby was. I mean, this is his first year with the system, and he's learning it. But here now in camp, just even in these first 3 practices, both Jacoby and Drake are doing things mentally that are, you know, far beyond where they were in the spring, which tells me they got a lot of good reps and they did a lot of the right mental things during the PLPs, because they wouldn't be making some of the decisions or doing some of the things that they're doing right now had they not made some of those advancements in the summertime. So I've been really, really pleased so far. And you know me, I'm always on the positive half of everything anyway, but you know, if I'm being really transparent about it, the 3 guys are in a really, really good place at this point.
Mac has also said one of the more important things this month is to determine who the primary backup to Sam is going to be. Do you have a timetable on that, or is that just something you're going to let play out, and when you know it, you're going to know it, and you're going to go ahead and let the guys know?
You know, Andrew, I'd say the same thing I did the first year when we had 3 freshmen, including Sam, vying for the starting job, and that is they're all going to, we have enough reps for 3 quarterbacks right now. So they're going to decide that. I don't really have to decide that. I mean, obviously the boss is going to sign off on it. Right. But we're going to sit back and let them go play. And they will decide that based on their production and their consistency. And I would say the big plays are not as important as the consistency. The consistency, the every down focus, and the every down consistent execution will separate one from the other. And then hopefully they bring the big plays with them. But we want them to be able to manage the offense and distribute the football the same way Sam does from a developmental standpoint. Whether or not they're going to be as good as Sam remains to be seen.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Okay, Ross Martin, go ahead.
Hey, Coach Longo, good to see you. My question kind of builds off what Greg asked. You've been in this system now, or you've had the system at UNC for 3 years now. Sam's been going into your 3rd year. Sam's been your quarterback. At what point do you kind of add alterations to plays, add changes to plays to keep the defenses guessing? I mean, obviously they've kind of seen what you've done over 2 years. How do you kind of keep programs guessing, or is it a matter of fact of just running what you do well the best?
So it's probably it's the most fun for me in this offense. I think it's one of the more fun aspects of the system for the quarterbacks too, because we do what we do, Ross. You've heard me say that numerous times. The system doesn't change, but when you know the base offense so well, you're able to run the progressions off of it much more effectively because you've established, a track record out of a certain formation and a certain run or a certain pass attack. And last year we ran a lot of those, and we opened it up. And I think the progressionary plays really helped us in a lot of the bigger games. And this year, it's more of the same in terms of we really have the whole library of progression in the offense on the plate right now because we're so well schooled on the base stuff that we do that whatever wrinkle we need for that week, we can just tag it and run it. And it's high confidence. And there's a really high comfort level with all that stuff because we're not reinventing the wheel, to run a double move or bounce a run play or, tweak a draw or something. And so it's right now, the whole thing is in our wheelhouse is probably what I'm trying to say. And we're, I think the guys are looking forward to the last day of install tomorrow on day 4 because they know all that progressionary stuff starts on Sunday.
Over to Isaiah Lucas.
Hey, Coach, how are things going?
How are you, sir?
Doing well. Just wanted a couple of thoughts on Josh Downs and plans for him in the offense this season.
So it's, I smile every time I hear Josh Downs' name because, this is a guy right now that has really done a very good job. As cliche as it sounds, he's done a really good job at getting better every single day that he's here. And when you're a player like Josh Downs who has such tremendous upside, it's a lot of fun watching a guy develop. And you think, hey man, he's really good. He can't get much better, but he can. And so every day we do a little bit more with him. And to tie it into what Ross asked me, a lot of those tweaks and whatnot are going to be to our skilled players. They're going to be to the Josh Downses and the Ty Chandlers and the Antoine Greens, the Garrett Walston. So he has given us a very similar weapon that we had in Daz Newsome. And as much as we miss Daz right now and we wish him really well at Chicago, we're excited that we can continue to do a lot of the things that we're doing in the slot position. Because Josh has been able to pretty much match the production that we've had last year so far.
All right, we got time for 2 more questions. Adam Smith, go ahead.
Hey, Phil. Circling back to Sam's involvement in the offense, like Hunter was saying, he was talking about that a couple of days ago. For you as a coach, as a coordinator, how do you get there? In terms of your comfort level in allowing a guy to be involved? And I'm sure it's like you're saying, a progressionary thing, but how have you gotten there along the way with him in terms of your comfort and his involvement?
I think it's really the same process I feel like I go through with staff every time I go someplace new. It can seem ego oriented. It can seem dictatorship like when you are insisting on running a system the way that you want the system to be run. But really, you want to set the parameters for what we're doing early on so that we can get really, really good at the base stuff. And then some of the input, because we have so much experience from all of these coaches. And now we have a starting quarterback with 3 years of experience on the field. And it's been a long time since I've taken a snap at the quarterback position. So he has more experience sitting in the best seat in the house, which is right behind the center, more so than even I do. So it's fun when the system's in and we're good at it. And now, when Coach Lilly has a tweak to a route, or one of the other coaches has something that they've done that might make what we're doing a little bit better. It's no different than when Sam brings something to the table. He's been pushing triple python. I'm not about to tell you what that is, but he's been pushing that for 3 years. And, I have not been very, very open to it because we're not ready for that stuff. Well, this year, I sent him a picture and I texted him to him, and, we're taking a look at it right now, and it's a good play for us, and we have the talent to do it. He has the understanding of how to execute it. And so, it's fun getting everybody's ideas as long as it fits the system and will help us win the game on Saturday. So this is kind of the third years is so much fun. As long as we execute and stay healthy, we're going to do our best job to put these guys in a position schematically where they can go be the athletes that we recruited them to be. And make no mistake, the scheme can put them in a great position, but at the end of the day, it's their talent that's going to win ball games.
I mean, triple python sounds amazing, obviously. I mean, is there a hint, just a hint that you could give?
Oh, it's a prolific play.
All right, let's close up today with Gregory Hall. Go ahead.
Hey, Phil. Obviously, when Ty Chandler transferred to Carolina, it was known that he'd be that veteran presence in the running back room. But I'm just curious what you're looking for from the rest of those guys, these young guys throughout training camp, to maybe what they can do to show you that they're ready to be alongside him, kind of like Javonte and Michael Carter were your group last year.
I addressed the entire offense when we first started camp here earlier in the week, and the last slide in my presentation says character and production. And at the end of the day, with everything else that we talk about, schematics and the talent and the recruiting and the program and the resources and the staff, all those things that go into a program, for me, at the end of the day, with players, those are the only two things that matter. And that's what we're asking of our running backs. And so much like our quarterback situation, the running back room, they're going to decide who plays. We're not going to decide who plays. They gotta have the culture in our locker room is a high character one. They've got to demonstrate that, because if they're not doing things right off the field, they're not going to play for us. And then at the end of the day, it really is about nothing more than their overall production in practice and in games. The more they produce, the more they play. It's that simple. It never has to be any more complicated than that. The only thing I would add is for young guys, they've got to be very, very sound mentally. So we're not making MAs. We're not making mental mistakes, missing mental assignments during the game. Once they get themselves to a point where they are solid mentally, it comes down to, who's producing more, who pass protects better, who's producing more yards when they're running the football, and who's catching the ball out of the backfield. And I think that'll get answered here in the next 10 to 14 days.
Great. Coach, we really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Thank you, fellas. Good to see y'all. Enjoy camp.
Thanks, Phil.